Also, that third one on this list here, that second one for UCHRA, voluntary donation. And we never
Am I in the wrong?
No, Everett is actually.
I am, oh, yeah, okay.
It's all over small, Shirley.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, don't blame me.
Musical chairs.
Sorry about that. All they did was copy. No, it's up to us. It's 3:45, so we're going to call the Finance Committee to order. We've got about 20 things here. I'd like to, if we do get, if you want to come up, or if people want to come up and explain what their nonprofit donation, it's the whys and wherefores of it. We won't limit you. We're not going to drop a hammer on you. We'd like to keep it around 5 minutes if we could. If you've got something that's a little bit longer, we'll be there with you, but we do want to be able to get through this thing without spending all day. Is there anybody that's got one that needs to go? You know, that could be first. I've got some already that we do, but somebody that does need to leave to be someplace else, we'll try to get you toward the head of the line. Okay. How we're going to do this is, it's the way we've been doing it. I'm sure there's probably better ways, but we would like to review each one and have someone come forward that is representing that organization and answer questions that we might have, and then we'll discuss about what we want to do. So there's a couple of ones we can get rid of right quick, which are the two dues, UCHRA dues and the UCDD dues. And those are required, right, Shirley?
Yes.
Those are, okay.
Based on population.
Yeah, the UCHRA is 2721 and UCDD is 2858. So we'll just, you can record those in there. Next one is the rescue squad. Is there anybody here from the rescue squad? Okay, the thing that they're asking for is exactly what they've asked for every year, which is their insurance and workers' compensation. And that's all they ask for us to do. We do provide them with a building, so they are getting some other help from us also, but the insurance. So if no one has any objection about that one, we'll go ahead and do that one too. Is that okay with you, Steve? Okay. So that gets those three out of the way. Next one is Warren County Emergency Food Bank. Is there anybody here that's representing them? They have been asking us for money every year, but they actually, one of the few that tend to go down occasionally. I think 4 years ago, we were giving them a little bit more than what they had. The last 2 years, it's been 3,000. They've asked for 2,000. Does anybody on the board got any comment on that or on the committee? Want to keep the 2,000 we got then? Yes. Okay. All right. Take care of that one. Sister Cities is a no request this year. Last time they asked for money was 2 years ago. And then last year they didn't have Sister Cities because of COVID, and this year it's the same thing. So we don't have to worry about that. Okay. Another one I wanted to get off early is Families in Crisis. Christy Stubblefield, who heads up that organization, was not here. She had her daughter was in a car wreck a couple of weeks ago, so she's having to give her 24-hour care. And she is available online, or not online, but on the phone if we have some questions. And I do have one question. I don't know if anybody else does, but one of the things I was questioning was the salaries, which was $223,000, which seemed awful high to me, but I'm sure she's got a reason for it. Is there anything else, and so we can call her and anybody's got another?
I think just to complement that, they've got revenue of over $500,000, and kind of the big ticket items on that, their expenses.
Give her a buzz here.
Matt Ritchie, I'm either.
Whoa, wrong place. I don't think Matt has anything to do with it.
I don't think so either.
What the answer before I put on the speaker. Christie? Okay, this is separate Rock. And I'm going to put you on the speakerphone. And there were some questions that we had, or at least one, and there may be some more, but hold on a minute, let me get you on speakerphone. You're there?
I am.
Okay. The question that came up was the amount of salaries and wages that you guys do. It's around $250,000. And we were just checking to find out if, if that's correct, how many employees you have, that kind of thing.
So we have 8 employees. We have all of the funding, all of our salaries, except for a small portion of my salary and a small portion of the financial administrator's salary comes from our federal and state grants. Of course, they never will fund 100% admin position. But we have myself, the executive director, a financial administrator. I have a Warren County case manager, a court advocate, a Grundy County, and Sequatchie County is one person, court advocate and manager. We have a child advocate. We have our shelter coordinator, our housing coordinator, and I believe that's everybody.
Okay.
The question is how many cases they handle a year.
Yeah, I think that may be in here, but I'm not sure. But how many cases do you handle a year?
In Warren County alone, it's about 400 is what we assist. And then we're for shelter, it ranges anywhere from, in the last couple of years, it's ranged anywhere from 85 to 120 in shelter, but 400 out of shelter.
Okay. All right.
I'm good.
Okay.
The 400 out of shelter that we serve is going to be for court advocacy. We respond to all of the orders of protections that are sought after hours. So anything from 5 till 8 the next morning and anything on the weekends, we respond to, and we're responsible for taking the original copies to the clerk's office and kind of making sure that they get into the right place. That's going to be responding to the hospital for domestic and sexual assaults, things like that.
Okay. Do you have any more, Steve?
The $250,000 is related to wages. Should they, their revenue resources for this last year is over $500,000. Could you speak to some of the other expenses, major expenses that
Yeah.
they incur?
Your expenses total around $500,000.
Right.
And you've got the half of that is in wages. And we were looking at the rest of them. There's some others, larger amounts that we were looking at. There was, let's see here. Well, all the taxes and everything, I'm not going to do that, but what's the professional fees?
The professional fees is the 4,000, I think it's probably $4,500.
No, it's 8,200.
The 82, okay. The 82 is for Joel Parks. We're required to have a financial independent audit every year, and he does that along with our taxes every year, and that is for that fee.
Okay. All right. Office supplies. What, you've got rent. What do you have? I thought you had you have your own house, but
We have utilities. We pay $150 a month in utilities for citizens of Tri-County to allow us to have our office space in Warren County.
okay. I was talking about rent specifically.
I think that's $150 is what they call our rent for our office space. And that includes our office space at Citizens of Tri-County and the utilities that we use every month.
Okay, because the rent was almost $3,800 and the utilities was a little over 9,000.
The utilities is going to be on the shelter.
Okay,
It's going to be shelter utilities,
right.
and the rent is going to be office space,
Okay,
inclusive of utilities in that as well.
okay. Anything else?
I work with them all the time. My experience has been really good with them.
Okay. All right, I think that's everything we need. We'll let you know, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, guys. Bye-bye. All right. They're asking for the same amount that they did last year, the 10,000. We did 8 2 years ago, 10 last year, and 10 this year. What say ye? Steve?
Keep the same.
Okay. Okay, all right. No, it's 10. Okay.
I do think, one note that they could talk about is the homeless prevention. And I guess, Lieutenant Davis, did you guys work together with your program as well?
We do
With
get
them.
calls from them, but to what extent, I don't know. I don't manage that part of it.
They're mostly through children's services. Through that.
I think the thing that I'm looking for is there is a relationship and you guys are working together, not
We
against each other.
said if they can't find something. This is okay.
I think they tend to have to put up people in motels
Yeah, most of those
temporarily
are gonna
too,
be-
overnight type stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, more shelters where not as readily available as what we would have because of the statute, I mean, the nature of what they're doing with domestic violence.
All right. Let's do some books from birth. That was yours, isn't it? Books from birth.
That's me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I thought you were doing that one too.
Hey,
All right, come on down. We're bouncing.
And I will say, I'm also here for kids in the community too, so
Okay.
I'm wearing
all
two hats, Berries in Court.
right.
I just took over Books from Birth. I'm Christy Allison. I work with the school system. I'm a new teacher coordinator there and reading coach and EAP director and grant writer, whatever Mr. Swallows wants me to do. But I just took over Books from Birth from Autumn Turner. We met at the county commission meeting. So honestly, it's the end of the school year. So I haven't had a lot of time to get things going yet. But that is my plan to do that, to take over that. But I'll answer any of your questions. I can give you a little background and, would like to have the opportunity to share something that happened last week that might want to make you think about giving money. Some little kindergartners. I'd like to share that if I may.
Sure.
But some little kindergartners did a unit out at Eastside, reading unit on wants and needs. And one thing they talked about in that wants and needs is the difference between wants and needs and giving to others. So I went out and read Dolly Parton's, of course, this is funded through is done through Imagination Library. And I read Coat of Many Colors to those little kindergartners out there, which I absolutely love to do. And here's another picture. I can let y'all see these as well, but here's all the class. And you see, if you look, when I pass it around, there's a big jug of change there. And I have the sweetest picture here. Those little kids brought in change for 2 weeks, and they gave me $139. They're 5 and 6 year olds. With that $139, I will be able to use that to buy quality books like this from Scholastic for about $2.20 by the time we pay shipping and everything. Those books can go into the hands of kids 0 to 5 years old before they come to school and being able to read. What we're here for, asking money from you all to help fund the program, which cost us about $1,500 to $1,600 a month. We're serving about 1,400 kids right now. With the Books from Birth and looking at the school system side of that, the state right now, our goal from the state by 2025 is to have students reading on grade level by 2025 in the 3rd grade. We don't have that right now.
One of the questions that was asked last year in autumn at the time said that you guys were working on it, and you may not know since you just started.
Yes, sir.
Was there was some pushback because of the if people were not home or didn't live in that particular thing, the books were just going to the dead letter office where they were being thrown away for the simple reason that the type of postage you were using didn't allow for return books.
So what's going to happen there is I'm going, my plan and this is my plan. Like I said, I just took it over. Those books, I'm planning on talking with Brent Nunley. And if those books are returned, I want him to contact me. And then I will be distributing those to the school, to kids in schools, giving those books free to them. If we are not able, I'm trying to keep those addresses updated is my goal as well. That I'm constantly going through Jeff Martin, that if there's siblings, that if I see it comes up, there's siblings, that I can go to Jeff, we can get through Skyward, and I can update those addresses and make sure those siblings that are under 5 are getting those books. Also, another plan would be to, if Brent would just can give me those books back, and then we can distribute that to kids of the community. We can distribute that to the housing authorities, so that those are getting into the hands of children.
I understand. Oh,
You know,
I think it's.
I'm going to
probably-
make every effort I can that those books not go in the trash.
Some of your customers are gonna be moving around a lot.
They do. They do. They do. And I deal with that all the time through kids of the community. You know, I pray every day. We try to update our stuff all the time because you go into a factor of if that child gets hurt, you got to be able to contact somebody. So, you know, our coordinators over there are working on that consistently. So there is some, and my plan is to get with Lisa as well of when those people do move out of the housing authority, you know, if they have an address of where they're moving to or that kind of thing, is to keep those addresses updated so that those books, we do not need those books going into trash.
Okay, that always concerned us.
Well, that is one goal, and I know I miss Autumn Turner like you just don't even know how much I miss her. But Autumn wore a lot of hats. We all do, and I think people don't realize that with the school system. But I've worked as teacher coordinator for 11 years, and then 3 of those years I was able to go through training through the Read to Be Ready, and that's where this 25 by 2025 reading goal is. And getting, you know, research says, every research training, everything I've been to is if you can get books in the hands of children even before they're born and parents read to those children, it makes a difference when they come to school. It just does if they've got exposure to books like these. And I just would, you know, appreciate you considering. I lost my notes. I'll just be honest with you. I couldn't put my hand on them. I didn't know about this meeting until just a few hours ago. So I had to rearrange my schedule. So I'm not even sure how much Autumn had actually asked for. So I do apologize. 7,000.
Right.
If we could have that, I could sure put a lot of books in a lot of hands.
I'm sure there was some reason because last year it was 10,000
Uh-huh.
and there must have been some reason why you needed less money, which
Mhm.
we appreciate.
Well, and I think too is that we're using other avenues. I'm going to be, you know, we didn't have the fair last year. I'm planning on being there. I'm planning on being at Autumn Street Fair, giving out books, but I'm also going to have a jar there saying, I'll take your change. And another thing I want to do is something that we do with kids community. I would like to promote this if teachers pass away, or just anyone that is concerned about education, if they would like to make a donation to Books from Birth in memory of that person, and I would be glad to get that acknowledgement to the funeral home and get that to the family as well. We do that at Kids of the Community, and that's helped, you know, a lot. I know when Mr. Tidwell passed away, we had a couple of, or maybe 3 donations because Mr. Tidwell silently didn't want a lot of people to know, but his family sponsored children every year at Christmas. So that's something I want to do with this program as well, to try to generate money and donations to get that. I'm just a firm believer. I taught special ed for 20 years. And like I said, research says if you read to them in the womb, they're going to be better readers. They just are.
Steve, you got anything?
No.
Anybody else on the board?
Be glad to ask any questions. You know, our annual cost, if you just want to know, is over $16,000. You know, if we had 100% enrollment, where that's going to move you up to 33,000. Our goal right now is to have 60% enrolled. We're working through River Park with that and getting those that are born right off the bat and giving them the lunge they could that first month of birth.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. And like I said, I'm speaking for kids community as well. So
Oh, okay.
do you want to do that
First-
now?
First of all, do you have any problem with the 7,000?
No, they're asking for less. It's good. So they didn't do an
Okay.
organization.
So 7,000?
Yeah.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Let me pull up the,
And I will, these are cute. Y'all just need to smile today. You just need to smile. Those are the things that I love to do that are best parts of my day.
okay, you said you had kids in the community also.
Yes, Barry's in court this afternoon
All
and
right.
he asked me at lunch when I found out if I would speak on their behalf as well. And I think they asked for 9,000 is
10,000.
10,000. Okay. I know we had tossed that around.
Yeah, I wish Barry was here. We had a question last year about the water and sewer taps.
Yeah, because he would probably know more than that. I know, you know, we have a major drainage problem over there. We filled in dirt. It's where the main building that we obtained in the very beginning and the storage building where the food is kept, and we have the freezer, the big freezer and the big refrigerator. Between those two buildings, it is just low. We've had Jody Hall come in, put dirt in there, and you know, when we do Backyard Bible Club in the summer and we have the big water day and the bouncy houses and all that stuff, it just water stands. And then when these heavy rains that we've had, the water just stands there, and
This-
we're going to have to work on.
This related to getting a single sewer and single water tap for the two buildings rather than do both, because there's costs associated. with
Yes,
that.
sir.
And,
Yes,
you know,
sir.
If they, Shirley, was there any feedback you ever got from water department or anything about that? Because they were wanting us to provide one free at one time, the sewer and water taps. And they were requesting basically two of each, one for each building.
Yes,
We were
yes.
encouraging them to try to put their lines in and then fork them off
Mhm.
to save the cost of the sewer and water taps, which
Mhm.
I
can
don't
go.
think we're allowed to give them away.
No, that we weren't. That was the reason we asked them to try to work it into one tap each and then branch off to go to each building.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because each one is, I think water taps are up around 1,500 or something now, aren't they? And we're required or limited by state law. We cannot give away that kind of
You
stuff.
can't
I don't
give that.
care. We can't give it away. at all.
Okay. Okay, I can let him know that. So in that case, I'm sure some of that money would be, because I know in the main building, sometimes we have water that seeps in, even, you
No,
know, the
that's a
drainage.
whole
and stuff.
different issue.
Yeah,
that We're
yeah.
not ready to address.
Yeah, okay.
We might at some point in time, but we can't at this point in time.
You don't own the building out there on Cadillac Lane?
Mhm. Yeah,
Is it
we,
paid?
the first building is, the second one is, but the addition, I think, I can't answer you 100%. Just because, with COVID and everything, we've not been able to have board meetings we've not been able to have.
So, I mean, it looks like there's a loan payment of $10,000 a year. And then, am I reading the cash balance correctly?
We're trying to get that adjacent, past where the trees were planted, I think he at one time, so we still may owe on that. That second building.
There's $15,000 in debt.
Long-term.
Long-term debt.
So that's probably one of your addition.
Mhm,
Projects.
mhm.
And so is there an expansion plan in play?
There is for- There is, they're wanting another, outdoor eating area, and, where we've got one, I think there's another pad been poured and we want to do another play area type thing because we do have so many kids in the summer.
Got a pretty good fund balance. $250,000.
Yeah,
fund
but
balance.
that's all, a lot of that will be spent because it's money that's already earmarked for projects.
Okay.
Zach Cowan's just finished in that addition part that we added. So that's going to be a cost, to, we'll have to pay him out of that, and that kind of thing. He's finished in a game room. And then there's 3 sections to that. There's a clothing room where parents can come and shop and get clothes. Then there's a game room for the kids, and then there's a storage area. And that's all got, that part of that money is to finish that out. It's not finished out yet. So and then plus that money also, is going to be used this summer for the kids. That you're seeing in our financial, we'll serve, like I'm running stuff off now at the teacher center. We're planning on 150 kids over there this summer plus.
So, the program is fantastic. Rotary did an expansion and closure and bathroom facilities a number of years ago. I think from perspective from us is looking at the high amount of cash that's on hand. I would really encourage you all to put that money into use. And particularly next year, if you all come again to ask for more funds, to make sure that's where we can really clearly explain what that's earmarked for, when it's going to be applied.
Okay.
Because that really helps
And
us.
we can, because that's why it looks like there's so much, because it's basically, it's projects that are going on. So you want an itemized thing of what those are earmarked for.
Yeah, I think it's very helpful to
Okay.
Giving a donation and knowing that it's not just going into a slush fund.
Oh, no.
And that,
No.
that
It will
it's got a
deplete
plan,
real
it's got-
quickly.
It's gonna be used for the benefit of.
There won't be that
It's a
much
lot
in
of- lot of
August.
Money.
It's a lot
Yeah,
of
there
money.
won't be that much in August. And then we also had to have the pavement redone. It sunk in again, just because of the drainage, the issues that
You're
we
on a low
have.
spot right there.
We're on a very low spot right there, yes. And so that was just redone. So I don't know if that's been paid for yet. There's just that money is earmarked for things. The big thing with us is that we've tried for grants, I heard you talking about money used, for the families in crisis and those being used as salaries. We don't have that.
Yeah, I noticed you had a couple $1,000 was about it. So.
Yeah, we just don't have it. We can't get any grants or anything that pays salary. So if it wasn't for juvenile court, we'd be in trouble. And I personally have worked down there and I'm not bragging, it's by choice. But, if there was some grant money out there that we could pay, some salaries, it would be nice, but it's not there.
Okay.
So that money is going to be, it's spent, it's just in there. So, but I will tell him that.
Okay.
And we'd appreciate, we really could use the money because we're gonna be spending a bunch this summer to help kids. Any other questions?
Do the 10,000.
All right, use that.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. And if y'all need some, a little kid time, whatever, 9 to 4 every day this summer, it starts Monday.
Thank you.
Well, these do
Yeah.
all have to be approved by the full board.
Yes.
So it's, we
Yeah, we-
approve it, but then it has to go to the full board as well. So
Okay, okay. Well, I'd appreciate anything you all can do because the money will be spent appropriately. And like I said, it's not used for salaries, it's used for kids.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's pretty
Yeah.
obvious here. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Lana, would you like to do senior, Warren County Senior Center?
this, can we start at the top? Where we-
It don't matter. I
Sure.
can wait if
you
you
go
want me
ahead,
to wait.
All right, that's fine.
They're all in order.
Good afternoon, guys. How are y'all?
Last year, you were one of a couple that we ended up giving a little bit more to because of COVID and feeding everything. And I know you've been shut down up until the last month or so.
Yes, we have.
Can you tell us what you did in the meantime? So,
The thing is, what we didn't, we covered a whole lot of stuff. Okay, guys, as you know, the center was closed. Our very first date of closure was March the 13th. We closed on that day. The board, guys, I don't get to control between my board and TCAD, which is Tennessee Commission on Aging and Disability. They sort of dictate everything that we can do, which comes from the Department of Health. So we had to close to the public, okay? But we have been there every day since. We have served right at 7,000 meals since March of last year. At one time, we had 18 routes with 263 meals a day going out. That is meals being delivered all over Warren County. We are not contracted. Those meals came out of my budget. We don't get any kind of contract money from Upper Cumberland Development District or anything like that. We were able to keep that up for a little while, but then it eats into your budget very quickly. So, because when you don't get any reimbursement or anything back for that, that money comes straight out of our budget there. So we've been serving a lot of meals. We have delivered.
those were all free too, right?
Yes, they were. We fed many, many people. Not only that, we were providing medicine, guys, for seniors that did not and could not afford their medication. I would go and pick that medication up, pay for that medicine and deliver it to their home. We have also, I can tell you how many food boxes we've packed. Numerous food boxes. I've traveled all over from the top of the mountain to Rock Island to anywhere in the city. We have since, during that time, a lot of offices are shut down. So I've helped with funeral home assistance. I've met from people that have passed away from that time. I would go because people just don't have anybody they could turn to. We've helped one lady in particular. I sat because the VA offices were closed and her spouse died. I've done every bit of her paperwork because she was drawing nothing but $512 SSI. And so she wasn't going to have anything. So we were able to prepare all of her paperwork. So it's not just been all about the meals. It's been about resources. We've done telephone reassurance. And during that time, we've called basically every member. We're now over 1,000 members in our senior center. It's just, there's so much that's happened. I've worked harder since COVID's happened than when our center was open before, because we were having to do community outreach. We were having to go outside the facility. It could be paying someone's water bill. It could be paying somebody's electric bill, or, my challenge right now that I'm having to work on a lady that she has no running water. Her pipe burst this winter, and you know how she's getting her water? Through a hose pipe. So that's my endeavor that I've been working on lately. We just recently moved another lady. It's not just where they come and play bingo. It's a resource that they come in. It's socialization. We have since reopened. We have reopened April the 12th. In the beginning, I told everybody we were having to learn to crawl before you walk. Now we're fixing to run in June because it's picking up more and more every day. Prior to that, I worked and helped assembled 14 COVID clinics. Through the senior center, we went off site. We've been in Spangler Towers. We've been in the housing authority. We have been all over this county. I have been in every single community helping make sure people had COVID-19 vaccines. We called every one of our members. We have provided transportation tickets. If they weren't coming to a clinic, I got them to the health department. I scheduled those myself. I've worked very closely with Andrea. I know y'all probably know Andrea Fox. Worked very closely with them. So it's just been it's been tough. It's much better when the center's open because we have a lot more fun. But
You're doing a lot more non-traditional things.
yes, a lot of different resources that people don't even know who to call. So, but since on the good note, we did reopen April the 12th. We opened currently right now, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're opening in 2 sessions because TCAD come down so hard on us. If we were open, we had to, of course, we were cleaning. We're still cleaning constantly, but we had to do everything in a process. Well, they've waxed up on some of that. So now we're open 8:30 to 4 o'clock. In the beginning, we might have 25, maybe 32 in a day come through. In the month of May, we're averaging over 100 a day coming in the center. Last week, provided some other things that's coming down the pike. Online shopping class. I put 30 people through an online shopping class. It's just different choices of resources for them to come into. We last week, we also give out 103 COVID-related care package bags that had cleaning supplies, dish liquid, hand soap, Germ-X, tissue, just different things like that. So this year, it's sort of hard to tell you everything that we can do, but what we did differently. So we were there as a resource for any member, any referral. It didn't matter if it was after hours, on the weekend, whatever we needed to do. I've been there. I am the only full-time employee for the senior center. I do have a thrift store. Y'all know that I do have a little thrift store. Every penny that comes in that place, we use it. We didn't get to do any kind of fundraising, and we did not get any kind of CARES Act money, PPP money. We did not apply for any of those. We've ran strictly on the money that we've had. I've just made pennies make pennies. So it's been real tight. We're looking forward to a good year this year, hoping that we might could do a little fundraising. TCAT's not really giving me the go-ahead that we could open up full blast. I can't even do congregate meals on site. I'm still having to go out. People have to come to me or I have to take it to them. So once they give me the go-ahead, then they can come back on site and we'll be open 5 days a week. But, like today was a meal day. So we hurry up, cook, did all that kind of stuff, hurry up, change clothes, come up here. So it's been a busy day. But if you have questions, I would love for you to.
You got any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate what
It's our job. And it's like I've told everybody at the county, we work closely. I worked with Phil. If it hadn't have been guys in the beginning of COVID, because we could not serve everybody, you would be amazed at how many people need to be served. But while Bill's helping, Meals on Wheels helping, we've been able to make sure everybody was covered instead of one person getting from him and me and her. It's taken teamwork, and we all work very closely together. If they need something, or if I need something, or she needs it, we talk to each other because it's teamwork and taking care of everybody in our city and our county. And I invite all of you. Majority of you have been in the center, but if you've not been, come by and see us. Come by and see. It's not just bingo. I get so tired. Oh, you just play bingo. No, we don't. I wish that's all we did. But anyway, come by and see. Also, I've done a little, I guess you call it remodeling. We've done a little painting while we've been closed. So they loved it when they come in. We've redone that. We're having our veterans coffee. We even work with all of our veterans. So guys, it's just, and I only ask for what you guys gave me last year. If you ever feel that you've got any spare change, we always look for that, because I tell you, we make every penny, every cent. I've worked more hours, 12, 13-hour days, guys, 7 days a week. Mother's Day was the first day I had off in over 4 weeks because I'm there every day. So it's tough, but it's very rewarding.
Thank you, Lynn.
You're welcome.
Steve, what say you?
I'm good with it.
All right. Write that up for 29. You want to go to the library now? That's next on the top of the list there, Steve.
Yeah, all our papers are just in order. That's a lot easier. I mean,
That's-
that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. There was just some that I wanted to get out of the way, but yeah, the library is next one.
Better
on the
step
top.
up to the mic while you can.
Good afternoon. Thank you for recognizing us, Mr. Chairman. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the services today that the library provides. I think we all know that it's not just a brick and mortar place where you get books anymore. It's a community house that provides social services, benefit coordination seminars, access to internet that many people don't have, computers, printers, online books, kids reading programs, concerts, art shows. It provides a lot for our community. Today, we're asking for a one-time appropriation of $14,000 to replace the heart of the desktop computers in the main area there. They're getting old, they're heavily used, and it's just that time where we're going to have to replace them again. Additionally, I want to ask the board to consider raising our MOE from $58,000 to $68,000. As our budget shows, we received a total of $174,000 from the city and county combined. As that should, at a minimum, cover payroll and utilities. And I'll say that includes work comp and payroll taxes and things in that 174. As our budget shows, we have budgeted $173,500 for those. That does not include the utilities that public funding will not provide for, which costs about $22,000. We have 4 employees that make $7.35 an hour. We have 3 employees that make $70.85 an hour. We have 1 employee who's been there for 18 years that makes $8.50 an hour. Our assistant director is very skilled, makes $21,000 a year, and our director makes $34,750 a year. Those are our employees. He also does the bookkeeping for us. We are a state public library and a member of the Stones River Regional Library System. Being a member of those confers certain benefits, consulting and technical assistance, access to grants for special projects, ongoing tech support and for hardware and software, which would be very expensive if we had to do that without that support. I do want to raise to the board's attention a new state law that will go into effect in July 2022 that gives the Secretary of State the authority to set criteria for membership or continued participation in that state system. We've been very cognizant of the Secretary of State's 2018 publication on standards for public libraries and been making every effort to check every box, which is it's pretty extensive. I've got a copy here I'll leave for you. There is one that's severely lacking. And the board is, one of the standards having to do with budgeting is the board should ensure that there is, quote, sufficient local government appropriations are budgeted to provide salaries and benefits that are comparable to county municipal positions with similar requirements. Now, I don't know how hard the Secretary of State's office will come down on these things as long as you're showing that you're working towards those goals. We've achieved most of them, but in that area, we are severely lacking. Our employees are dedicated, versatile, and often serve as amateur social workers. They love their jobs. And beyond technicalities with standards, they shouldn't have to choose between providing a service that they love and affording to live. We're fortunate that we have the Magnus Foundation you're all aware of that helps provide and maintain the building and provide for special projects when feasible. Looking at our budget, you'll see that there is the foundation is budgeted to provide $100,000 this year. And that still provides us with a $28,000 deficit. These numbers have been going up year after year. And it's just ultimately not sustainable. It will be much more expensive if we continue to erode the foundation's principal balance in years to come when it becomes a public duty for us to keep a functioning library. We've additionally provided numbers, and if anyone doesn't have any of this information, I've got extra copies that show that Magnus Library has the lowest per capita public funding in the entire Stones River Memorial region. It's $4.22 per capita. It was a couple years ago, $4.26. So as the population grows, it obviously goes down and down. If you look at some of our neighbors, obviously they're all above us, but Coffee County, for instance, provides $18.55, 4.5 times more per capita. Cannon County provides $11.22 per capita. I think we should at least strive to be on par with some of our smaller neighbors like Cannon County. We appreciate your
Let me ask you
consideration.
something.
Sure.
How much of that is attributable to not being a private library versus a public library? Because I know there's state money that you guys cannot deal in or cannot get because of your status as I'm not sure what the actual name of it is, but it's private, privately owned, privately.
It is. Well, it's a nonprofit.
Okay,
We separately have a private foundation
right.
to support the building and other needs. Those numbers that I'm giving you about per capita funding are purely municipal funding from state, from city and county.
Okay.
For each county. And if anyone needs a copy of that, I'd be happy to provide it. Again, I don't think any of us know how this change in the law is going to work. These standards have been around. But we're certainly not providing loyal long-term employees with what they deserve to make. We appreciate your consideration.
Okay. Anybody, any other questions? I back several years ago, we had sort of a similar request for a non-maintenance of effort request that we did. It was for computers also, but it's been years ago. I'm sure that.
Well, those were, I believe
Those
were
are
for
probably still there
I think
now.
those were for the laptops.
Oh,
so we just
okay.
have to kind of cycle those in and out.
Okay. But at the time, we gave a one-time deal to do that. And then also back a while ago, we raised our maintenance of effort from, I think it was 46 or 48 to 58, based upon numbers like we were given the other night at the board meeting or 2 weeks ago at the board meeting. So I understand your thing, and that back then it was like $2 and something was the number, but we increased that maintenance of effort of $10,000 at that point in time, but that's been several years ago. So I'm sure that inflation has eaten into that.
It has, and if you'll recall, Mr. Chairman, that increase was really based upon an agreement between the county and the city that the city would provide at least half of what is appropriated from the county. So it just brought you up to half of their 116 contribution.
So what you would actually like is the 14 for the computers, and then another 10 on top of that for the maintenance of effort.
Yes, that's what we're asking for. We appreciate it. I think you
You
can
know
see
what
here.
that'll put us at per capita? I mean, the
That's
extra
80
10,000.
83 cents.
So we're over $5.
So we're
Is that
over
right?
$5
Yeah.
per
For,
capita,
what was it for? What?
422.
422. It still put us around the lowest, but I mean,
It's better
I
than-
understand it's going to be an incremental thing. Hopefully that we can continue.
I'm in favor
Doing the whole thing.
of doing the whole thing. I look at the salaries and the fact that they haven't had a pay raise in 4 years. I think also when we look at, there are some numbers that are coming off the books for this year. And then next year, we will not have that other $14,000 in computers.
Right. Steve?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay. You are going to put some of this into salaries then?
That's our intent, is it all go into salaries.
Okay. If everybody's in agreement, you got it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Chamber of Commerce. Don, you're up. We've got the dues, so we'll skip that one.
Okay.
And that's our every year contribution. Then you've got two things here, one Chamber of Commerce Tourism, and then other things that you're doing. So
Yes, sir.
you want to,
Yeah, just,
I guess
just,
the first question I've got is, how are you interfacing with the tourism board, the TDB?
I serve on the tourism board, so we know where each other are going. It's the same way with the industrial development board. I serve on both of those boards. So we're very familiar with what they're doing and what we're doing, and they're familiar with obviously what we're doing out. The tourism portion that you see in your package is that we do a lot of advertising for McMinnville and Warren County. In fact, some of you, I gave you the latest book, the Tennessee book that shows the McMinnville ad that the chamber puts in there. Also, the chamber book that we publish every year, it goes out to all of the tourists and people are relocating. So those are two of the advertising portions that we do for tourism. And we're basically the first place that anybody comes to when they come onto McMinnville or Warren County that wants any kind of information about McMinnville, Warren County, where to go, what you should do, how do you start a business. So we're basically a funnel for everything that happens economic development in the community. We work with Don at IDB, working with them about when they bring clients in. We provide packages for them. When people call in for relocation, we send them relocation packages. And that's, you see some of the funding in there is for relocation. We provide basically the only maps for the city, which we haven't been able to redo. And that goes to all the police department, the fire departments, all of the emergency vehicle people and things like that. So that's part of it. None of the money that we're asking for is salary. It's strictly for operations of the programs. One of the things that you'll see here very shortly is we're going to be doing a free job fair for all the businesses in Warren County. That just came out today, went out to industry and went out to the chamber board. We invite the city to be part of that, have a booth there. Just bring tables and chairs and we'll do the advertising for you. It's going to be on the 22nd of June out at 3-Star Mall. And we just finished negotiations of a location out there. So we do that in conjunction with, like I say, we don't do any projects actually that actually make money for the chamber. So the money that we ask for from the city and the county are basically quality of life programs that we do that do not generate money. Anything that we do for the community and businesses, we work with Small Business Development Center. In fact, they will be coming to the job fair and doing some startup business, helping people with startup businesses. So all of those things are things that are not funded to the chamber at all, or it just takes a lot of our time to put all these things together.
All right, so
Did you have another question?
Well, the tourism part on our list here says 60,000, and the one that you've got here says 58.2. Is there?
58.2 is the one.
Okay, we've got it down wrong here.
58.2 for that one, and the other one is
54.
yeah, 54, right?
So with the tourism, when you're trying to fill in the gaps between the TDB and.
Yes, sir.
Okay, question. Steve? This actually is a little bit less than it was last year. I think.
Yes, sir.
Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Okay. All right, so the 58.2 and the 54 is what.
Yes, sir.
All right. No doubt, true. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. These, I guess, are you still doing BRAC?
We have a few magazines here if anybody hasn't seen our chamber.
Okay.
I'll leave it here in the counter.
Are you going to do BRAC?
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and do that one.
our Citizens of Progress Scholarship Fund. It's an interesting dynamic. We started at in '07. It was a forerunner before Tennessee Promise. And some people thought when Tennessee Promise came along that our scholarship fund would fade away. And I'm here to tell you that last year was our second biggest year. It keeps going up. And it keeps going up because both Motlow and TCAT keep expanding dual enrollment classes that they offer at the high school. What that means in essence, those are college classes by college instructors while the kids are in high school. So the more college they take in high school, the quicker they get into a career path, the quicker they get into a good job, and the better it is for everybody involved. One reason why we went up last year is the amount of aid. We have a new program that was started 2 years ago with Tennessee State and Motlow, where a student gets a 2-year degree in mechatronics for Motlow, then goes 2 more years with Tennessee State faculty to get a 4-year degree in industrial technology here in Warren County. Great program. A lot of interest with kids in that program. Our committee, oversight committee, last year started offering $500 a semester to the 3rd year and 4th year students taking that program. So we encouraged them to get into that program, or $1,000 a year. We had 11 students get that scholarship aid, or $11,000 last year. Looking to next year, of course, one of the big programs at the high school was the Machine Tool Technology $1 million grant. TCAT said to our committee, can you give us some money so sophomores can start taking machine tool technology a year earlier than normal from dual enrollment? And we looked at that for over a year, and we're going to have 11 sophomores this August take machine tool technology tuition free. That amounts to $300 a semester, or in terms of our scholarship fund, $6,000 for the year. But we're excited about that. In fact, I told Dr. Torres from Motlow, I really think this is an opportunity for us to expand higher education and where it really can help. I mean, somewhere along the line, they made the decision that dual enrollment should be juniors and seniors. Why not sophomores? Why not 3 years? Why not? Listen, if we're going to accelerate this thing to get more kids into college classes and to progress in their career, I personally think it's a no-brainer. I think I was involved in interviewing 7 freshmen. They came into this meeting about, do we want to take machine tool technology on a tuition-free basis as sophomores? And they all walked out, yes, they wanted it. They asked for it. I thought that was rather encouraging, and also shows these kids are on the ball. They know what's going on. So bottom line is I look at the scholarship fund in terms of fundraising on a calendar year basis and actual expense on a academic year basis. 2020, we had the second best year fundraising, $56,125. We spent almost that much, so it was the second biggest year in actual expense since before the Tennessee Promise. So far this year, we've raised 53, and of course the year is not over. But we expect our expenses to continue to go up. In the machine tool technology program, we pay a small fee on every one of those kids. Welding, the same. So our partnership with TCAT and Motlow, it continues to get more intense. Again, I think we have the best CTE program in the state in Warren County. If you go out to the high school and take a tour, it's amazing what's there. And it's a compliment to everybody involved. So be delighted to answer any questions, but needless to say, we're excited about what's going on, where we're going. One other thing that we hope that when Fred Rasco is replaced, that the Tennessee State platform will be expanded. I mean, and personally, I would love to see a 4-year degree in robotics here in Warren County. So there's more that can be done, more that should be done. And all our ambition for the Business Roundtable is higher education for our youth. That's our #1 priority, has been and continues to be. And this program is is our key vehicle to get there.
Todd, you said that, the number is growing. So is there, if you don't have the funds to match the number of interests, is there a system of application that these students go through? Is it a first come, first served basis? How is that?
It's first come, first served, and they have to qualify to keep the scholarship. So it's grade point driven. It's performance driven. And again, these kids have gotten smarter. They realize that these are pathways to getting good jobs. We had a girl that was taking mechatronics that baseball wanted to hire as a senior. And she had her heart set on going to Tennessee Tech and to get a degree in computer technology. But baseball was in love with her. They offered her a job full time. Said they'd hire her on any basis she was available, summertime, vacations, after she graduates. And these kids are, once upon a time, they had to go out of town to get good jobs. That's no longer the case. Kasai right now, it's got 100 openings. They can't find people for it. So, I mean, there's plenty of jobs in our trade area. And I mean, good jobs that these kids can get if they have the education credentials for it. So, and one thing that both TCAT and Motlow are doing, and they're not just teaching these college classes, but whatever they can give a credential or a certificate or a test score that's important to a resume, they do so. And so kids are getting a stronger resume to go forward with.
Steve, you have any questions? Mark?
No, I just know the kids are getting opportunities to go to school that would not otherwise get them. It's a great thing.
And a lot of low income.
Yeah.
Family children are going through that.
Yeah, that dual enrollment.
Mhm.
It's a good thing.
Have they loosened up at all on the dual enrollment, getting the Tennessee Promise money? I know at one time they didn't cover dual enrollment.
It doesn't. No,
It still does not.
No, but there are dual enrollment funds, but just not through
Yeah,
Tennessee Promise.
there's another plan for that.
Right.
But that requires some in-kind type volunteer work and that type of thing too.
In the TCAT is different than Motlow, but there's both TCAT and Motlow draw upon our fund to cover whatever isn't covered on available funds. And of course, there again, they're reaching into more and more areas to bring dual enrollment classes to these kids. And the high school likes it because these instructors are all hired by either TCAT or Motlow. So
they're on their payroll instead of.
Right. So the high school loves it and the kids like it. I mean, it's a win-win situation and
Takes 2 years off their college.
amazing,
time work.
amazing. And that's why I think sophomores could be the next avenue that could be exploited because everything seems to be moving down to younger kids. But I think there's a lot of wisdom in that.
So one thing on not so much on this, but Don just got up and mentioned about the job fair, but if you have anybody that you want to invite to the job fair in industry in Warren County, I think that'd be a great asset. And if you don't have an article coming up, I would pitch that one to you.
Okay.
About the upcoming job fair.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'll be back later.
You're gonna stick around for the habitat.
Yes.
here, if you don't mind. Steve, what do you think? Yeah. It's been 10, 10, and 10 for the last 3 years. Okay, sure. Okay. Oh, by the way, the TDB, we could eliminate that one too, because that's done by ordinance. They get the money for the hotel motel tax. So, yeah, it's got 75,000, which is a guess on our part, but I think this last year, it's going to be closer to 72, 73, and that was during a pandemic year. So and when the new motel goes online, hopefully that'll run that up too. But whatever comes in goes out. So Meals on Wheels, I guess is next.
I'm Nancy Mayfield, and running the program for a few years. I think you know what Meals on Wheels is. I'll just bring you up to date on what we're doing. We have around 200 to 225 clients that we're serving each day. It costs us around $1,200 a year to feed each client. The average age of the client is around 84. We have several over 90 years old. We're serving the disabled, the people that live alone, or maybe with their spouse, the people that can't drive or drive very little. So those people are kind of stuck to their house, I guess you want to say. They don't get out much. We have 13 routes all over the county, and we have an increase in demand lately. We have had the COVID has really changed our program. We have, as I'm telling people, we're either feast or famine. When the COVID hit, we had about 4 months of operation left, and that's kind of scary when you're dealing with the population that we're dealing with. You need to have something in concrete to know that those people are going to be able to be served. So when it did hit, everything cost more, as we talked about earlier, with canned goods and that kind of thing. We were serving like once every 2 weeks, once a week, whatever we could do to get the food out to the people. We didn't miss a meal, but it was different at that time. So the cost was different. But the positive, the feast part was, in COVID, we could write grants. And there was money out there. So I wrote several grants, and I still have some out. Some, well, we got some and some we didn't get, but we were allowed to do that during COVID. And that really helped us out, because everything, the price of packaging food just went crazy. I mean, all the places that were selling plates that you send out, or packaging, or any of the things you carry it out with to keep it hot, our bags, that kind of thing, either you couldn't get it or the price went up so high, it was really hard.
Is that because restaurants were using carryout?
Yes, everybody was using carryout. So we had a difficult time getting those kinds of products, and the price went up. So that was really hard on us. So we are surviving it. We have issues still, the after effects of it, like when we had to go to 2 weeks or 1 week or 2 days a week in serving. Our volunteers were set up for 5 days a week. We had 13 routes and volunteers for each one of those routes. Well, then when people weren't needed for that period of time, then we lost a lot of volunteers. Some were already older, retired, and decided, they'd served their time after they got used to not coming. And then others just got out of the habit of coming. So we started adding days back as we could. We added 2 days a week. Then we went to 3 days a week. Now we're up to 4 days a week. Now those clients are still being served. There's no meals being missed. It's just a different way of serving we're having to do because of volunteers. So what we do when we did the 3 days, we'd serve 2 hot meals on Monday. They would put one in the refrigerator for Tuesday. And on Wednesday, we'd serve 2 hot meals. And on Friday, we'd serve a hot meal. Now we're up to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday hot meals, with one for the refrigerator on Thursday and then Friday. When we get the volunteers, we'll go back to serving 5 days a week. It doesn't lessen your workload. You're still cooking and preparing those meals, but it is a change in the way you're doing things. One of the other things that hit us pretty hard is cost of labor. We're kind of like what the library was saying, we've been down to minimum wage for so long, so little that it's hard to find somebody to work. I mean, we cook, we do hard work. And it's hard to find somebody to do that kind of work. We do have several volunteers that come in, like we'll have one each day to help us maybe package up the cold things or things like that. But you still need 3 to 4 people a day cooking. And that's hard to keep an employee. The last employee I lost, she said she could make more clean houses. So that's one thing that we asked for a little bit more this year. We'd like to serve about 5 more people, and we'd like to increase salaries a little bit.
Were you able to get any PPP money?
No, the grants that I wrote were like the Meals on Wheels America. There was several different groups that would give them money, and then all of us would apply for it, who needed the money, and they would distribute it. So it was not government money, it was donations to them. And then there's a lot of other businesses and things that I've written grants to.
Yeah, I see you've got a pretty hefty bank account too, $261,000.
Right, that was the grants I wrote. Now, those are one-time grants. I will not get those again. But it is helping us get through with the expenses and things we've had. We have fewer and fewer of the repeat donors. That's one problem we're having. There's so many nonprofits around now that it's a big competition for us. Used to, Meals on Wheels was one of the only nonprofits in the county, so we didn't have any problem. And we're struggling now. And like I said, the feast or famine was the grants that we got through the COVID, which will have to last for a while.
Of course, the 60,000 you got from Back to the Strip helps too.
That was wonderful because we didn't have Back to the Strip the year before.
Right.
So if you cut that in half, that was pretty normal from what we were getting. Back to the Strip is a wonderful program, but and they have been so successful and great at what they do, but how long will that last? We didn't think it'd last over a couple of years and the people being interested, because you know how things are in entertainment, that they don't last as long. But this has been wonderful and we hope it stays forever, but you never know. We're just kind of out there. No guarantees, in other words, is what we're living with.
The 3 years ago or 2 years ago, it was 7,000, it was 10,000 last year, 14 this year. So you are going to be adding people to your roles.
We're adding people and I would like to.
How many people are you adding?
Well, our budget was set up for 200 people. We have now, we're serving around 215 right now. I would like to stay in that area to 225 because we have so many people asking for the program. And we do have a waiting list, but those are non-emergency people. But I can't tell a person 90 years old, they have to be put on a waiting list. Or somebody emergency from hospice. You have to serve those people. And it's really hard when you say, okay, we're going to cut it off right here. You just can't do that.
You have some people that go on and off, like they've been in the
Yes,
hospital. and
it's a revolving door.
temporary thing.
There's a lot of people that are temporary. They'll come out of the nursing home after rehab or something and need it for a few months, and then they'll come back off. So it's a constant movement of people, but it's gradually grown.
Any questions, Steve? Or Zach? What do you think?
I'll cut the extra.
It's on with the grants. I mean, you mentioned that there's $60,000 in grants
Right.
written today.
Mhm.
Because it's taken the cash balance from 156 to 210. And so when I try to break down the number of months it's going to feed,
It's like a year.
20 months of feeding. And it's kind of a similar type of situation that we were mentioning earlier. We don't want to be hoarding. So certainly I'd like to see that number go up and try to have faith in the fact that we're going to get donations in every year, that we can not worry about the future, but focus on the needs of today.
Yes. And the other thing too, if you don't have something in the bank, if something breaks down, our equipment's like anywhere from 10 to 30,000 when you've got a commercial stove that breaks down on you. So if you have nothing there, what am I going to do? I can't come to you guys then and say I need extra money. I just have to work with what I've got.
What facility do you utilize?
We are in, where N Street is? It's McMinnville Housing Authority, in the building that they own there.
Drive down the street on the right-hand side.
Near the water tower, yes. Down in there. We've been there since we started.
So that machinery in there, that equipment in there is not owned by the housing authority?
No.
It's-
No, they let us have the building, but anything that we use in there has to be ours. And then we do all the utilities and things like that. They have been wonderful to us. It would have been really hard to survive without the Marymount Housing Authority.
I think that's an important note to know that you guys are responsible for those. And, you know, those, just one of those refrigerators is $10,000.
Yes.
They don't charge you rent.
They had never charged us rent. When the program started 40-something years ago, I was on board then before I started teaching. And they did in kind. They did that rent as an in-kind part of our match to the federal government when we were getting that money. The whole plan for Meals on Wheels was to become private in Warren County so we could do what we wanted to, serve the people we wanted to. We had to go by federal guidelines then, and it was only the very indigent that we were allowed to serve. We had people like retired policemen or retired teachers that we could not serve, no matter how what their budget looked like or what expenses they had, we couldn't serve them because they didn't fit in that criteria. So the goal was to try to be able to feed anyone in Warren County that we thought needed, that couldn't afford to have help their own to take care of them. And we do have, if they have some income and they can donate to the program. And in fact, every year we have probably maybe one month's worth, maybe 15,000 from our clients themselves. You don't know. We get anywhere from an envelope back with change in it to maybe a check for $50. You have no idea what you're going to get, but some will help you. If they can, they will, because they know how important it is to them.
What's the difference on last year and this year? See, okay. We're gonna give you 12,000.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay. Food bank. Is there anybody here from the food bank? They're have been asking 3,000 for the last 2 years, and now they're asking for 2,000. So you want to? Anybody got any questions about that? Did we do? I'm sorry, excuse me. We did that at the very beginning, right?
Main Street.
Now that I'm having to follow the list here, I'm getting all messed up. Okay, Families in Crisis, Caring Hearts United. Main Street. I'm sorry, excuse me. Skipped over another one. Cliff, we'll get you up here one of these days.
Just in time. I got a meeting to get to. I'm Cliff Davidson, one of the founding board members of Main Street. We started this thing 22 years ago with your help. Now the current president of Main Street. I'm going to ask a few questions before I kind of tell you what we do. You kind of know what we do, but I'm happy to tell you again if you'd like.
I think the questions that the board has, there's a couple of questions. Number one, how much money you have left over from not having a director last year, for most of the year. I don't know, maybe except for 3 or 4 months. something like that. That money is still there. The other question we're really concerned about is lawsuits that you guys are possibly facing.
Yep.
And we don't want to throw money into your organization only to have it become part of a legal settlement. Sure.
Yeah.
Frankly, to you.
Right.
And there may be some more things that.
Yeah, let me expound on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not on this committee, but as the mayor, I help oversee the budget process with the administrator, the recorder, and the finance committee. And I got a big problem with $40,000 going to an organization with the controversy and instability that you guys have going on right now. In the packet, it lists an allocation for $35,000 for an executive director that you guys don't currently have. And in my last count, you've had 4 executive directors in the last 5 years. You can't keep board members. And as Everett said, you've got 2 board members who are suing others for defamation. It's my understanding that your most recent former executive director is possibly suing the organization for wrongful termination. So until some of these issues get shored up, I can't support this amount of money going to an organization with that stuff going on. So I'm not sure how anybody else feels, but that's some pretty serious stuff.
Well, it is some pretty serious stuff. And I'm not at liberty to talk about all of what I know about it. I don't know much, but I have talked with counsel about it just as an update, because I'm not part of that suit. That suit is not against the organization, it's against the individuals that were on that committee. It's my understanding that we do have insurance that covers that risk for those individuals. There's being a founding board member, I'm a permanent board member, so I don't go to all of the meetings. So over the years, I haven't been to every single one of the meetings. I come when the wheels get loose, right? Which is why I'm here now. It's to try to help steer it back on course. It's a great program. We have full support of the state. The personalities, why it's been so shaky in the past, I don't know. But it's something that I intend to fix. It's a worthwhile project. It needs to be done. If you guys haven't been over to see what BRAC did over at the high school, they did with the high school what we've kind of done with downtown. Downtown has changed. Downtown is strong. Downtown is a reason why we can recruit industry. It's a quality of life thing. And so we've accomplished a tremendous amount of things it's taken a long time to get here, but not without your help, right? And that needs to continue. We support some of the things that we do downtown, or support some of the business revitalization. So we hardly have any space available downtown anymore. It's the place to be, it's the place to come. And it's a kind of a crown jewel. And it's not only of our community, but it's also from the state standpoint, right? We have to have a full-time director to maintain our state accreditation. So they'll work with us a little bit because COVID and they know that we've been through a few rough spots. As far as funding is concerned, we didn't, 35 of it goes towards salary, which is a little bit lower than what we usually pay. And 5 of it goes towards office expenses and things like that. Those numbers, just like anybody else, are going to go up. We're actively right now. I've suggested to our board that we don't start advertising for a new director just yet. We're in the process of taking a survey of all the downtown businesses, which will, and then we're going to do a visioning session so that we kind of redefine who we are, or at least reaffirm who we are and what we need to do, because times change, right? In the beginning, it was about economic revitalization, because that was the promise that I made to the board back then. I remember Ricky Minton said, Cliff, is this streetscape? And I said, no, it's revitalization. He said, okay, cool. So we revitalized, we got businesses started up downtown, and then we took it to the next step. Once you got businesses, it made sense. Then we started working on streetscape. It took 10 years to get there, and it's been about 10 years since we did streetscape. And now we have what we have. And it's really beginning to blossom. COVID's been a problem. Some of the revenues, though, we did not realize any profit from any other outside sources. So membership's down, and we didn't realize any additional profit from Main Street Live, because that Main Street Live is one of our big fundraisers. So last year we couldn't do fundraising, and this year we're going to get cranked up on membership and things now that things are opening up. So we're a little bit short on funds there. We have some cash, but most of that cash is either stuck in grant money or financial. Look like we got a lot of cash, but we don't, because some of that still is outstanding grant money, and some of it is going back to those the sponsors. They didn't take their money back. We just kind of pushed it to next year, so we're still holding it. So we don't expect to get much revenue there. But again, to answer your question directly, why we have a turnover in directors, don't know. I mean, y'all have been around it. I mean, we don't need to get into too much of that, but it's something that we do need to fix. We can do way better than that. And I intend to fix that.
Are you actively looking for a new director now, or you're not until you can resolve some of these other issues?
Well, the lawsuits are not, and those are not lawsuits, those are discovery. They're discovery questions. They haven't really become a lawsuit yet.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, their feelings got hurt, right? Because it was not a comfortable thing for any of us to go through. The board, it was just a miserable meeting, right? But we had to answer that question. We don't have this is the first I've heard of anybody considering a wrongful termination, because Ms. Brober was not terminated. She resigned.
Okay.
I think
Under certain
more
circumstances.
hostile work environment,
Yeah,
or something,
that may
that
have
kind of
been it.
issue.
Exactly, right. And so we created the former president, we lost a president over that whole thing. Mary Dawn Bixby resigned. She was the acting president, because she was kept out of the loop on some of those things. So she resigned. Dan Sellers was our vice president. He stepped up. And when that happened, they immediately created, the executive committee immediately created a governance committee, right, to look into it. And they did a lot of research, looked at all the email threads, all the text threads, and interviewed several people as well as everybody involved. And they came to the conclusion. And so, and then we had a vote during the meeting, right? And we opted not to reprimand, basically, to censure is what it was. And then it was split. It was almost 50-50 on what to do.
It was uncomfortable. I was there.
Oh, yeah, you were there. Yeah. Well, the bad part about that is that somehow a recording of that whole meeting wound up at the newspaper. The newspaper reported it accurately. It was almost verbatim, right? They did a good job, and it was embarrassing for everybody, our organization, but especially the people involved, right? And that's where they started looking to see if there was any defamation. Where it's going to go from there, don't know. I know the attorneys are talking about it, but that's the only one that I'm aware of, is that there's just two of the folks that were involved are they had their attorney files are I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what you call this, but anyways, they're in discovery. They just ask some questions. Show us what you got, and let's see if they're, calmer heads prevail. They cool
But
off.
you're not looking for somebody right now until this is resolved.
That's not what we're waiting for. What we're waiting for is I have to get, because board members don't sign up for drama, we lost some board members, right? So we're going to reset the board. So we have like 4 positions open. So we're going to put board members on. Main Street Live starts in a couple, 3 weeks on June 11th. We're going to send out a survey next week or maybe tomorrow. And then we're going to, and that's the survey of all the downtown business owners. Then we're going to have a visioning session. And TVA volunteered to help us with that so that we can sit down and throw all the ideas on the wall. And that's going to include other people that are not just on our board. We're going to invite other key people around the community that are active and that are visionary, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hard time for some of these people to work together.
Which people are you talking about?
People that's still on there are people on one side, people on the other that are still part of your organization.
Well, you'd be surprised. Since then, our meetings have been great. We've had really, really productive meetings. They've been positive and very productive. So once we do the visioning session, which is going to happen in a week or two, I wanted to get the survey done first, do the visioning session, and then we know who to hire. That's going to drive our job description, because it used to be downtown revitalization and then streetscape, and there was a whole lot of engineering and design and things like that a Main Street director needed to possess the skills to be able to manage. And we're not doing that now, right? Phase 3 will come someday, but right now we're not all that worried about phase 3. Phase 3 is a high priority for some, and we'll do that when it makes sense, but we're going to do that with you. That's basically your project, right? We're just going to help facilitate that.
With all due respect to your time, I know you have a meeting. I'd like to recommend to the finance committee that we table this to the end. I think there's a lot of thought and conversation and attend to some of the other nonprofits that are here.
Yeah, this is gonna get,
I've got to go too. My bottom line is this, you need the city of McMinnville for funding, because as I understand, I think we are your largest financial contributor.
That's right.
And we need you just as much for what you do for the community, not just the city, but Warren County as a whole.
Right.
And we also have to have an active Main Street chapter to be eligible for certain state funding. So
Exactly.
I want to work with you guys however possible to help get all this shored up,
Right.
because the way it's going right now.
Well, it's the way it got to where we are now was not going to work, but it's working now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting there. Then we have a nominating committee. I mean, we're moving, so.
Okay.
I think maybe one of the other suggestions we might have right now is maybe not voting on this thing, holding it. We can do a addition to the budget at a later point in time if we see what these guys are doing and think it's going well. We can review this thing, readdress it if you want to. What do you think, Steve? I'd rather not throw money at it right now.
Sure, I
Okay?
understand.
And just not like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for your dollars.
Mhm.
But, if you get everything straightened out and you settle all the legal matters that might be, and you get a director, I'd be more than willing to go back and readdress
Sure.
this.
One of the things I would suggest though is that unless we know we have funding, we can't hire a director, right? So we would need a commitment in that regard, but I don't know what the legal side is going to turn
No,
into,
I understand that.
or how long that might take.
Frankly, we don't want to throw money into a pot that may end up disappearing in a legal
Yeah,
proceeding.
I'll talk to the attorneys and find out what they think, and I'll
Okay.
get a report back to you on that, because I
Come-
don't think it's
Our
gonna.
budget process is still going to go on for another week, 2 weeks, something like that, maybe.
Let me get you an answer from them and
Okay.
see what kind of insurance we have, because I think we do have insurance for those things. It won't crash the whole organization.
Okay.
And really, if it hadn't shown up in the paper, it wouldn't be much of a big deal,
Well, that's-
because the embarrassment wouldn't have been there. And it was terribly embarrassing. So,
It's public meetings.
yeah, I know. So,
All right.
but thank you for the consideration, and I'll get you some info.
I think that we can work with you. We will work with you, but we want to see what's going to happen.
Fair enough. Yep, I'm good with that. I'll take that. to board. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Senior citizens, we got that. Caring Hearts, yep. Caring Hearts United. Yeah, let's go on through. Young Men United. Upper Cumberland Broadcast, WCTE. Oh, we are. Black History Museum. There we go. Wayne.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wayne Wolford. I'm the Director Curator for Black History Museum of Warren County, Tennessee. I appreciate each and every one that has come and has toured the building already, hopefully to get to see the others come through. My main thing is to try to educate and preserve Black history of Warren County. Even though I'm a cultural person and I love kids, I'm going to keep this cultural as possible, try to get tourism in here, because Friday we're going to have the educators and coordinators, going to be about 20 of them come through. And we're going to have a tour there. And then after that, hopefully to get the teachers in. And after that, the teachers start bringing the kids for what you call Kid Day, a field trip, whatever. And not only Warren County, that's what I'm starting with, surrounding counties. Nashville, Chattanooga, when the time comes. I'm gonna let you know this ahead of time. My mission came from up here. That's where my mission came from. And sometimes when we lay in bed and things come to us, sometimes we listen to them, sometimes we don't. But I listened to this one. He said, Wayne, you're gonna start a Black History Museum. I said, what? You're gonna start a Black History Museum? You retired? This is what you're gonna do. You're gonna educate people. You're gonna get artifacts. You're gonna make history here. I said, okay, all right. Hey, you gave me the ball. I'm gonna go with it. And everything has been going smooth. COVID came through. Me at this age that I am, I thought I could just jump in here, get things done, boom, hey, you have to set up a museum. No, it's not that kind of party. You have to have everything going on. Just on my request sheet here, the request that we asked for last year was kind of partial because we didn't know what the rent was going to, we knew what the rent was going to be. We didn't know what the utilities were going to be because we didn't know what the utilities were. Didn't have insurance at that time, didn't have internet. So I didn't have a real good idea of what was going on. So what we're asking for right now is almost a reality because since we've been operating over a year, we have a real good feeling of what it's going to take right now. Now we do our own thing now. We get out there with fundraisers. We've got a couple of grants we're working on. I haven't even gone to my sponsors yet because I want to have sponsors for each room. If I can get the Titans, if I can get the Grizzlies, my daughter lives in Memphis. I'm here. Hey, I'm gonna do that. Hopefully we can get off your list here at some time. But my main thing is trying to keep things in control right now, keep it going smooth. Because if it's not this building we're gonna be in, it's gonna be in a bigger or better building. We just don't even know yet. But I'm getting that mission. So he's saying, hey, roll with me, and I'm rolling with him. Do you have any questions?
The county.
Yeah, go ahead.
The county, do they, have they provided a donation?
5,000. They said they're working on it right now. It was 5,000 last year and 5,000 this year.
I think, man, I love the fact that you're gonna, and what grade are these teachers? Are you just?
Oh, no, the whole school system. Because I'm trying to educate. As long as we know how one another's cultures are, religions, food, how we react, with people, that's going to be the blessing later on in life. It's just simple as that.
So, in terms of the proposed budget request, what other expenses do you have beyond the 17,873?
So what other?
Yes, sir.
In a museum, you have to have better quality displays. Just one display cabinet, if you're looking at it thoroughly, is going to cost $1,000 a piece. I have some blankets. I have some African artifacts. I have a quilt that has newspaper in it from 1942. And say, I need to get something in there where I can get it temperaturized and saved. Because after a while, and then also the windows, I have to get the windows to where I can get that ultraviolet sun, protective. Same way with the lights. Yeah, I haven't even started with that yet. So yeah, you have to have things to preserve what's in there. So we just right at the tip right now, but I am reaching out for grants. I have 2 grant writers. They're doing a phenomenal job. And myself, I'm trying to keep the museum going, but I am going to reach out and talk to people. I think I have that personality to where I can get sponsors. So if I can get one sports room there, it's got Bridgestone, it's got Titans on it, boom. So the next 5 years, I know what I'm getting for the next 5 years from those sponsors. So that's going to tell me, what I've got going.
I noticed one of the things that you're talking about, you got artifacts on here, you got $4,267. Is that strictly the artifacts, or is it like you're talking about the film on the windows?
Yeah, that's just part of it.
Okay, it's more, most of the
just
stuff's
the
probably
beginning.
donated to.
Just the beginning, yes.
But-
Yeah, most of the artifacts are. Every once in a while, I've been out twice, going to antique shops and stuff like that to get something to relate to what we have.
Right.
And have a story
But
behind
most of
it.
that is preserving those. things.
Right, yeah, we got to preserve it because, like history, once somebody comes in your house, your kids come in your house and you're gone and what's this? Nothing, no, yep, file 13. So we want to preserve this.
Steve, you have any more questions?
No, I just say, I don't know if anybody's been there, but Wayne has, you wouldn't believe the amount of work that's gone into getting that place ready, because I know him and I know how much he's worked at it. I mean, and you'll notice there's no salaries on that, in that column.
No.
That's a zero.
Yeah.
And and if you're at the grand opening, I mean, how many people were there from out of town? A lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people there from out of town. They come back from, that are from here and come back, or that are not from here and just had people
Illinois,
related or whatever, for
Indiana,
whatever
yeah.
reason. So people come here. I fully support it.
Yeah, I was at the grand opening too, and it was impressive.
Thank you.
I'll
Thank you.
have to say, I mean, and you could use some more space too.
Oh, yes, yes.
But that causes rents to go up too. Zach, you have some more questions?
No.
I mean, if we can stand it, if you think in our budget, if I'm in favor of what is your.
I believe
requesting?
that there's a lot of other things that I don't think is as important as this, but I do think this is important. It is quite a jump. There's no doubt
Yes,
about that.
yes, it is.
And so with this budget, the county's gonna give 5.
Yes.
So, I mean, we could supplement instead of, we did 10,000 last, is that right? 10,000 last year.
10,200.
If we went up to 12 or 13, that would cover the expenses for the year. Am I reading that right?
I'd have to go through and look at every
You
one.
mean
of
you're
these.
adding the county money?
Well, I'm sure, I don't know if you're including the county money in with this or not.
No, county money is not included in here. No.
I'd like to propose 15.
15?
Yeah. Is that okay with you? It is. All right, we'll do 15.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm ready.
Oh, okay. Phyllis has something for you.
Okay.
My secretary.
Hey, he had me on the roadblock. We were poor, but I never had asked for money. I guess I know everybody here. I know Steve Dad, worked with him at Carrier. I've met Shirley and then Everett. I know your mom. I'd go down and talk to her, and she was great comfort to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Rachel, I babysitted Bobby one time. And I met you in the foster care review board, Zach. I want to know you. You impressed me. And Nolan, I saw him in the kitchen. It wasn't my kitchen. He was in the kitchen in the administrative building. They said, well, he don't talk to us. I said, do you speak to him? He spoke to me. Okay. I'm here and my subject is the little children and Jesus. People were bringing their children to Jesus for him to place his hand on him, but the disciples rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He said to them, let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly, I tell you, anyone who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it. And he took the children in his arm, placed his hands on them and blessed them. Mark chapter 10, 13, 16, and this is the NIV Bible. And they said, you need to watch them little Bibles with them little red words in it. But this one did, but I'm pretty sure it's accurate. Urban Renewal demolished Bernard School. I remember there was 2 new additions, and they demolished the Clark Methodist Church. They could have been historical sites and renovated. Now you want to sell or demolish the City Grammar School blue building. We want to make our city and county a retirement place. Seniors, children, and youth like entertainment. We need more eating places, shopping centers. And I'm like George, what's his last name? That was handcuffed and put in the police car.
Oh,
George Floyd. I want a shoe store. My feet hurt. We have torn everything down or raised the prices so that everything is out of reach and unaffordable. I, Phyllis Nowlin, have worked at the county clerk, at the courthouse and the county clerk's office for 33 years. The late David Smart, Warren County Clerk, did read my resume, and he said, you're almost a preacher. Well, I learned a preacher can be anybody, so he should have said minister. I believe he was a good man, but he wouldn't let me work. I was hired September 1986 after I got fired on my job and retired November 2nd, 2019. I draw $1,800 a month from my retirement of 33 years. Social Security is $1,200 after they take all my insurance and whatever out of it. I received a pension from Carrier Corporation for $107. Supposed to have been $126, but I had to name a beneficiary and I got even less. But so I took the 107 and then I can't leave anything. I'll draw that till I die. They had to give, then this $107, they had to give me when they fired me for writing to help my coworkers and department. I even went on the carpet. I visited the plant manager's office and he asked me why I was there. I didn't know then, but I know God sent me. He didn't invite me, God sent me. A lady told me my brother was going to be laid off if he didn't get enough votes to transfer to Tyler, Texas. Well, he did go to Tyler, Texas, Carrier, and years later, April 3rd, 2004, he was killed in a car wreck. Mark 3:24 says, if a kingdom is divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. If a house is divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Carrier's closed, man. They didn't have bad people, they just didn't have good leaders. 1995, lightning struck the Warren County Courthouse. White kids were killed in a car wreck. Dean Gillespie's son. There was another guy working in our office, community service, sitting in the back of the building. I knew his wife. I worked with her at Oster. And I told my boss, I said, that was his child in that wreck. Well, he didn't take it lightly, but he did find out. The guy come in crying one day. I have been mentally harassed by a Black crazy preacher. And to Vail, the church where I served 23 years, sided with that crazy preacher. I saw Dr. Sandy Shukla, psychiatrist, on my lunch hour in Tullahoma, Tennessee. And he said, who sent you to me? I said, God sent me to you. Thank God I went, because they ain't gonna tell me what they would have gave me anywhere. And I ain't gonna back me up, ain't bad. We might have some bad people, but they're not. So, okay, so I saw Sandy Shukla, psychiatrist, on my lunch hour in Tullahoma, Tennessee. Judge Larry Ross, the former Judge Larry Ross and Tammy Ross asked me to serve on the Warren County Volunteer Foster Care Board, where I served 20 years and at present. The other day, Barry Dishman, probation officer, invited me to visit the kids of the community. He knew I was retired. He said, just come over and hug them, just whatever, Hey, thank you to River Park Hospital, which is now St. Thomas Park, River Park Hospital. And a mental health person supposedly sent me to Summit Medical Center. I was handcuffed and I rode in the sheriff's deputy car. I stayed there for a week. The patients were very nice. They bought me a Bible to read. I tried to heal someone. They wanted me to stay, but when I found out where I was, I said, I gotta get out of here. The head doctor there asked me, he said, why are you here? And I couldn't tell him because I've been my job, I've been, well, I wasn't treated good. Let's put it like that. On Thursday, May 13th, 2021, my lawyer, Mr. Ryan Moore, had my will. I had a will, durable power of attorney, and advanced health care plan ready for me to take on Friday of the day of surgery. Now, the healthcare plan, my nurse practitioner, Chris Jenkins, explained to me, he said, Phyllis, we're gonna do everything for you that we can. He said, but when the God gets ready for you, he's gonna take you. And I said, thank you. The other day, a rainbow was over Christ United Methodist. And guess what? Our minister, Sister Summer Worley, and her husband, Brother John Worley, thank you to Reverend Don Hutchinson. They packed him up and moved him out because his wife was having problems. She's going to have twins, I guess. They saw him eating with some of the members and they said, you got time to eat with them, but you ain't got time for other things. Well, Don was there, I guess, 8, 9 years. That's as long as a Methodist preacher ever stayed. And let's see. He was a minister of Christ United Methodist Church. And I thank him for accepting a bad Black woman. God wants to heal our children, youth, and adults. Let's give Warren County McMillan some positive recognition. You read the paper and you're killing and whatever, and drugs and whatever. Let's save the city grammar school blue building. God gave us a new name to be voted and approved on that. I have talked to Wayne about that in the board. Warren County McMillan Heritage Museum, that's what we could call it. The mission is to honor and preserve the heritage of all our children and let them know who they are and what they can be. Okay. I do passports. A little boy come in with his parents and they could have had legal papers, but they didn't. And he said, he's got autism. He can't sign his name. I said, I teach Sunday school and I've got kids with autism, but now I didn't know that they have different types of autism. And I said, you bring him up here. And I told that little boy, you put your name there and you take this line and you hook it up. That little boy signed his name because that's all you can do is just, So God, and so he did that. Let's see, I guess I got lost. Okay, yes, and that's why I said our mission is to honor and preserve the heritage of all the children and let them know who they are and what they can be. God wants to bless us with more industry, retail, and pray for another, and I pray for another air conditioning plant with caring leaders and employees, good pay and normal work. And you guys are doing a great job. Thank you. I want to say thank you to Nolan Mean, Ryan Moore, attorney of law, not at law, he is of law. My cousin Roy Curtis, I went to him one night because they took me to a meeting and they were asking me questions and stuff, and I don't know what that was about. And I said, for days, David's been looking out the window. I said, he don't know, I've been trying to jump out the window. One day people came in and they were fussing and hollering at David and stuff, and I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't sleep that night. And I was calling 911, and I'm sure they knew who I was, and they told my sister to tell me to quit not calling 911, or, I guess they probably would have had to arrest me or whatever. So Sheriff Deputy came to my house, and some man had come in and bought me a little paper, and he said, you will be with Jesus. I didn't understand that. And them girls said, who was that guy? We thought he was going to hug you. So, I didn't say that because I didn't really know who he was either. But anyway, thank you. And that policeman, when he got me to something medical center, I thought somebody was going to kill me. I hugged him. And recently, a year or so before I come in, he's got all kind of patches from sheriff's deputy, from, different states. And I thought, I don't want to see these patches. And I thought, I wonder if he remembers me. I don't know that he did. And then I want to thank Lisa Scott. Lisa, when the bookkeeper got sick one time, and David, he didn't know what to do, and he wouldn't let me learn the books. If I go back there, he would sit down beside me, and he thought all Black people stole. But I don't blame him for that. That's just what he'd been, thought or whatever, wherever he got it from. So Lisa asked me, she said, Phyllis, you worked here longer than I did and you was here. Would you want to run for the county clerk? And I said, no, I don't even want to be the county clerk. I said, but you run and I'll work for you. Well, Lisa won. And then Darlene, and I want to thank Darlene Bryant, property assessor. I want to thank Brad Durham, sports for McMillan Southern Standard. I want to thank Joe Stewart. I was in his civic class. He put me on the front row. And he said, Miss Phyllis, who's the best driver, a man or a woman? And I said, well, can't neither one of them drive. Good. And then thank the late David Smart. He hired me, but God sent me. Mrs. Frances Weiser, she was the head bookkeeper. We had lunch the other day, breakfast. Mr. Jonah Fitch, he gave me a job at the vocational school. And he said, he knew my brother played basketball. And he called him Charlie, but Charles don't like that. So y'all call him Charlie if you see him.
Phyllis, we need to wrap this up.
Okay, I'm through. Okay. And then Mr. Harry Dunn and his sister, Mrs. Edith Webb, Mrs. Martha Hunter, she's Ryan's mother. Then also I got autographs from Wilma Rudolph, and I don't know what we did to Carl Rowan, but he did wish me success, and I got a picture. I got 8 resumes signed from that I sent to the different plants here, signed by different resource officers, but it's the same paper. They just pull it out of the file, sign it, and say you're overqualified. I don't even have a degree or anything and never been to college. If we don't help the children in Warren County, McMillan learn their identity, Jesus says he's coming soon. And I don't have that to back up. It's something about fire or something, you're gonna come with fire the next time. So God bless America and Warren County, McMillan, Tennessee.
Thank you.
Oh, and I'm gonna show you my mom. She worked 25 years at the McMillan Garment Company. When she retired, she only had a small amount of Social Security and her pension was like 60, probably $70. And I told Mom, as long as I've got money, you got money, and we never run out. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
And I don't need an answer, just think about saving the building.
Habitat.
Well, read your book here. Let me look at the book here.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I've been on the Habitat Board since 98. That was the first year we started to build homes. We built 2 homes that fall. We're right now building our 34th home. It's kind of interesting to look at the aggregate of what that represents. Most of the homes are in the city. I think there's 3 in the county. So 34 homes, 31 in the city. About 20 grand in tax revenue that those properties have created. In a broader sense, it's about $3 million worth of real estate value. And it's interesting to note that of that 3 million, 2 million is about represents material cost, and 1 million is the contributed labor, or I would like to call it the value added premise of this charity. We are totally self-funded. We have been from day one. We don't get any help from Big Habitat. Our revenue sources are a local habitat restore, where we have 2 guys that work very hard to create about 30 grand a year in revenue. And we also get a revenue stream from our homeowners as they pay off their mortgages. We are in the midst, we're in the midst right now of getting 3 lots in the city as a deed transfer from Upper Cumberland Development District. That will be a great help to us. We expect to build 3 homes in the next 2 years. That'd be 1 home next year and 2 the following year. I know those 2 the following year, 1 would be a Bridgestone Blitz build. Every 4 years, they Blitz build a home for us. We haven't gotten money from the city, but the high cost of building materials, if you have anything to do with construction, you know that they've gone nuts. A 4x8 OSB panel, which several are used in a home, costs about $20 heretofore, $72 and going up. I mean, it's gone just totally nuts. We think this home we're building right now could cost us 100 grand, which would be really out of sight for us. But so I come to you saying this, we're a people ministry. We have typically 35 volunteer groups to help build a home. We do a home dedication. We get 5 to 7 ministers to come. So it's a very visible people business. I think it's had a big impact on the community over a period of time. And we could certainly use help. So that's my story.
Do you have a default rate of any size at all?
Actually, that's a very interesting question. We've had 3 homes that we've taken back. One was a terrible bad story. I won't go into it. The other 2 were just a financial problem. the challenge we've had from day one, Big Habitat sets the guidelines about who qualifies for home. And you have to have an income stream, but you're limited. We're dealing with low income people. When you deal with low income people, it's hard to find good character and good credit rating. It's been our biggest single problem from day one, and it still is. You would think that offering low cost homes, you'd have people lined up waiting to get in, but that's just not the case. And we use, when the churches we work with, we urge them to help us find people that would be candidates for homes. So we've had a minor degree of kickback, but compared to we hear stories from Memphis, they had foreclosure there is a constant habitat problem. That's not been the case here.
How many did you say you built so far?
We're building home number 34.
And you've had 3 that are,
Mhm.
that have gone up sideways. Steve, you got any more questions?
One of the highlights of Habitat for me is we've gotten high school kids involved. Like we had the football team opening day, they come and help us carry all the wood. But we had both basketball teams, we have junior ROTC, a lot of kids in the high school that learn the value of volunteerism and they really, I think, enjoy it, and we love having them. It's great for us.
I think almost everybody in here has probably worked on the Habitat house over the years.
We try to invite a lot of people.
It's an amazing feat to get that done with amateurs. I mean, it's
Yeah,
hard enough to do it with professionals, but when you got, I mean, it really is amazing that you can pull that off, and they do.
Rotary has door and window day.
Yeah.
That's always been our for breakfast.
That's been great too.
Yeah. My brother one time participated in a blitz build in Washington DC. They did 10 houses in a week. But they had it organized like crazy. I mean, to listen to him talk about it, it just amazes me that they were able to do something like that.
We've Bridgestone built the first one in 06, then 10, 14, 18, and we're going to skip next year because it's a contract year for them and go to the following year. But they'll be right there. Okay, thank you.
What do you think? Do 10 or do you want to do less?
It's expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I can justify that, and I think it's a community oriented. I think every church has been, I don't say everybody, it's like Todd was saying, it's a great outlet for kids to volunteer. But,
If you base it on material costs, you could justify more than that.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Building materials have just gone crazy.
I mean, and they've done so much without us in the past. I mean, has Habitat been in the city books in the past?
No.
Not since I've been. This is the first year out of 34 houses.
Yeah, we've given them lots. We've
Yeah, we
donated
do.
a lot of
We
lots to.
donate almost every lot in the city, I think, has been donated by us. That may have been.
That's been a huge help. I can tell you.
These are lots that we've condemned, torn the house buildings down if there was something on it, or back taxes were owed. It was a drug house, whatever it might be. And after we cleaned up what we have to clean up, if it's a drug house, then we put a lot of those you just can't sell. And we'll donate them to these guys. So that's helped in the past. And we'll continue to do that because we'd rather have them back on the tax rolls than not.
That's been huge. It's been a huge help.
One question, the 3 that you had that did go sideways on you, were you able to, do you go back and try to find low-income people again, or?
Yes, we've been, in all cases, we've been able to reorient the home.
So you basically have a freebie there.
We didn't lose the home.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
We lost the original
owner.
homeowner.
Okay. All right, you want to do the 10?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, we'll do the 10.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bill, I'm gonna finally let you.
I want to apologize to you for telling Everett to go in order because that's my fault. 'cause
That's
what
okay,
you-
that's okay. I'm only about an hour and a half late where I'm supposed to be. You're good. I don't care. I don't have the budget in front of me, so ask any questions you want. I know we went up. There'll be an answer to that on why. Last year was our first year as home. We had no idea the number or the amount of folks that we would be helping, the amount of money we would be spending. And then since the city is being so gracious and donating property, that is also a new expense that we're going to have to incur with the housing. And in that budget, you'll see that there's some things that we'll approach with those houses as far as septic systems and central heat and air and those things that we're required to have for them. So that's where the money, we're not going to stop helping the folks that can't go to transitional housing. So the money will always be spent. We have helped with the graciousness of not only you guys, the county, and as far as the community. We had one heck of a fundraiser last year. And we anticipate doing that again this year. But we're trying to help more and more folks. So whatever questions you have, I'm here to answer.
The heating and air conditioning, when you get people that are going to volunteer to build the building,
Yeah.
they're not going to put in the.
No, that was the only thing that, they're going to be about with building expenses and all. We started out thinking we were going to do these houses at about 6,500 to 8,500 at tops. We're at over 10,000, around pushing close to 12 now, on just a 200 and 2,500 square foot home. But that's because it has to have the bathrooms, all the amenities that you would for an apartment for a residential area. So no, what we're looking at was, it's been brought to my attention by one of the local central heat and air, that there is the units that you can use that they suggested was the portable units that has, I guess, a one main station or outside that, and then several, the units that goes inside that they can be controlled by each unit.
The little mini split.
Many,
units.
yeah, the split units, and they thought that would work out great out there. They'll put them in for us for nothing. And I guess we don't have to duck them. There's a lot of things we don't have to do. And with putting 4 units in close proximity, which is what we'll do anyway to aid on the septic system that we'll be putting in, that will allow us and afford us to use that type of unit.
Yeah, I got quoted one the other day. It was about $2,500 for
They
the
are.
units, and plus probably the installation. And
That
everything.
and of course, we'll be lucky not to have to do the installation, so it will be something, that's going to be donated to us.
Okay.
And we may get some of this other donated to us. Again, you hope to.
Now that you've got your land, what's your time frame to start?
Well, actually, we
doing
officially don't have the land, but
Well,
there's a lot of things. Again, I'm not a builder. I've told everybody that. I've not been a project manager. This is my first one. I had hair a little bit when I started. It's all turning loose or turning gray. The ladies are wearing me out. But there's a lot of things I didn't, logistically, I'm trying to figure out as I go. Nolan has been a champ on helping me with that. Now I'm dealing with water to figure out exactly what that's going to take to run the lines. It's going to be the capacity for the total number of houses we anticipate. There was this rumor going around, and we're talking about 30 or 40 houses. I stopped that the other day because we're not building McMinnville Housing Authority. We're building a place to transition folks. It's an ambitious goal, but if you're doing what I think we're set up to do and what we planned on doing, and I think is what you guys visioned it as well, helping people get to that next step. I don't see 40 people at one time doing that. There's just, you're going to have 40 homeless. That's not hard to find. I can walk stone throw from here and get 20, but that's not who's probably going to be the next level. It's that mother and child that's living out of their car that have a job 40 hours a week, but just can't get enough money to move to the next step. That's the type, or single male that's living under the bridge and can't go any further because he's not making enough to go to the next level. That's what we're trying to get.
One of the things I've seen out of y'all's efforts this past year is the awareness, public's awareness. I know people that are reaching out more than they used to, providing people with, part-time jobs, giving them more opportunities. So I think there's some intrinsics to what y'all are doing that doesn't show up on paper.
Thank you. Hey, I've got the girls has done this with Tina and Sheila. They're go-getters. They're go-getters.
I understand that we, the city has provided a lot of land, but I mean, that's for, future development and operation.
Wasn't an out of pocket type donation,
Right,
It's
so I
something we
mean.
had, we didn't need it really. So.
Yeah, so I feel comfortable with, them asking for an additional, amount compared to what they did last year. Because they still are serving more needs and something that's quoted in the paper that it's something the city can't do and it's not doing, so.
Yeah,
I agree.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
Thank you, guys. You'll have a wonderful evening. Let's go motion to adjourn.
We've got 3 or 4 here that are not here. I'm surprised that Young Men United was not here. They are asking for $1,000 more than they did last year, 9,000 versus 10,000.
I will say they have done a fantastic job on the facility over there.
Have you been in?
Yes.
I haven't been in since they started.
They got the
renovating.
floors fixed,
Saw pictures.
refinished. They got brand new basketball goals. They got a court set up. I mean, they're using it. And they got it. I mean, they've done well.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I thought that would take a long time. to
yeah.
get that
I mean,
far.
That
it's,
big hump in the.
yeah, I
Floor.
didn't know how, that floor was in bad shape.
And their list of proposed expenditures are certainly fixed assets in terms of
Yeah, HVAC is.
base machine, HVAC, school supplies, gym supplies.
What do you want to do, folks? We had 9 last year, we're asking for 10.
I wonder what we did last year.
Close to what we did last year. Well, we added 17,000 for the library.
That's in there.
Hmm.
No.
You want to,
No,
Never
we
mind,
increased,
sorry.
$10,000 for them.
and then 14 for. I said
14 for the
17,
computers
20,
and then-
yeah, 24,000, excuse me.
I guess Main Street depends, that's where it depends on what we do there as to whether we're gonna be under or about the same, right?
Well, I would like to hold off on Main Street until we find out what's going to happen with them. We can always go back and amend the budget to do that.
And I think that gives them incentive to. Right.
I think so. I mean, they obviously don't need anything right now with no director. I mean, they might need some money for copy paper, the normal things like that, but I just soon hold off until, and Cliff didn't seem to be having a
No.
problem with that.
I'm just saying, depends on what our final number winds up being there later on. Will determine. Because I don't know if anybody's added it up, but I think you're right. I think with what we've added, leaving Main Street, whatever they requested, I think we're about the same as we were last year.
Probably will be. And that amount that's on there was put in the budget until we do the final part of the budget. And so that bottom line number down there is in the budget. So
Yeah.
What people ask for, I'll put it that way. But it's going to be a little less because we've got that 40 that we're not going to give them right now anyway. So, with the Young Men United, you want to do the 10,000 then?
I think so.
Okay, all right. And then we've got the Caring Hearts United. They had 7 and 7.9 and 11.5. This one has never really struck me as one that just is, well, I don't know.
A little watery, maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of their
It's
stuff
not a
that-
clear picture.
that's done outside of the county too. And I mean, it's not just that. I don't have any problem going back to the 8,000 they had, but I just really am not fired up about 11.5.
Is that who we spoke to on the phone?
No, that was crisis, families. in
Oh, I'm
crisis.
sorry. Yeah,
These people do baskets for hospice patients. That's their big thing, is working with hospice patients. And they do it over a 2 or 3 county area, 5 county area. No.
Yeah.
Okay. You've probably worked with them.
They only get funding from this county. She is, since of course Miss Melinda passed away. They're trying to because she passed away, what, 1.5, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
They originally, of course, they have the hospice units, but they take care packages or whatever, but they do serve 5 counties. But they only ask the city of McMinnville and Warren County for funding.
Wonder why they haven't gone after.
Well, no one's ever reached out, but that's what the county had advised her the other night when we spoke at the county. They advised her to try to go to other counties because they're actually, she purchased the products, what goes in these baskets from the city or from, so your tax dollars are coming here, but the items go out. So that's what they recommended her. They, of course, they up for the funding, but they did recommend that.
Was she at that
She
meeting?
go, yes.
Did she didn't respond back to the note we sent out to everybody?
I don't know, Sam got those, but she didn't indicate that.
That anybody said
that.
Because the other lady was talking about, she just got it a few hours ago or something, one of them said that they.
I got
can't-
mine last week.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
the other day. It came from Nolan.
There was somebody that said that they only got.
I think
notice
that
about
was,
That
that
was
was
Christie. It's probably in
Christie.
the
Somebody just
Boston
didn't tell her.
Yeah,
I don't think it
maybe.
was us. I think
Yeah.
it was.
I mean, I got the notice back, like you said, last Thursday or Friday or something.
You're talking about Stubblefield Families in Crisis. What was that, Christie, she's talking about?
No,
Allison?
Christie Allison.
Yeah.
She was the one that said she
No,
just
Christie
now found
Stubblefield.
out.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you on behalf of them. I've been all over the place with them before and stuff like that. They are gonna reach out next year and taking steps to go to other counties.
Okay.
Because they've never done that before. Nobody ever brought it up to them, so.
Are we aware of how much the county provided?
Yeah, I've got it. I can give you all of them because I sit in.
No, they haven't finalized theirs either.
It's not went in full of front of.
Yeah, it's gone through their finance. committee.
$1,000.
Okay.
I've got all of them if you want to look at them.
I'd like to go back to around 8,000, which is what we did last year. 7.9 is what we did last year. We do 8. Okay. Let's
But
do
they are
that.
gonna put that in the future, just reach out to other communities for funding.
Yeah, I've just never gotten a warm fuzzy out of them, and I that may be just me, but it just,
They help with a lot of hospice patients that may not have covered items.
now. Last and not least is the WCPE.
The CHRA,
Those are automatic.
the 3,000.
Yeah. No, the 3,000, we just, that's
That's not
a
on.
volunteer.
That's not, that was not on last year either.
No, it never had, we've never paid it.
funded that.
Never funded.
We just do the dues.
We do the dues, and then for UCDD, it's the same thing. They never send us a bill for another quote suggested benefits. It's on UCHRI. WCTE, this one, I don't have any feeling at all about that we need it. I'm sorry. I know that Ben fought for it, but they don't do anything here that I know of that that lets us get a warm fuzzy out of that. I mean, there's just nothing that they do. I mean, they broadcast here. But, they had gotten, they were wanting, what, 9,000 this year. And yeah, it went up a little bit, I think, last year, didn't it?
They asked for more maybe last year.
Yeah, we did. Okay. Yeah, 9, 9, and 9 is what they're asking for. Unless you guys have got some big reason you want to keep them. I just,
I mean, the way that it's proposed, it's almost, because it's a public entity, it's almost like if we were doing advertising and marketing through them. Our Gilly Pool speaks for itself, I think.
there are people come down here all the time anyway for that. What do you think?
I don't have a strong feeling about giving money. I mean, I kind of agree with you. You think about where the money comes from that we're spending, is that it makes sense. It's almost kind of hard for me to justify spending taxpayer dollars on from our city on a television station in Cookville.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's, I get it. I mean,
I'd rather give Lanley $10,000 more.
Well, we got Ben Loman and we've got, Warren County School System TV. And I mean, that feeds right back into activities of our community.
Well, that's just zero it. And you can, this thing with Main Street, we'll just hold on to it. and see. Okay. No, we'll just leave it out of the budget and until they get their act together. I know they want to know that we're there for them, and I don't have any problem being there for them if they straighten up their.
And on the library, we're increasing the budget for $2,000.
Yes, it'd be 68,
I'm giving them one time
$14,000.
Now that transition right there to me is, it's worth it. That's what this meeting's about.
Okay, and so here's the community, they got their 10, is that correct? Yes. Very texted me and said.
I have a note that Rita Ramsey, if you have questions for Young Men United, is happy to answer them. She just couldn't be here.
Yeah, I saw her at work a few minutes ago before I came down here. And,
Let's take the 10,000.
yeah, we're staying with that.
And you want some-
No, that's the county thing.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
You
that's
don't
fine.
need it? Okay.
Thank you for volunteering for that. I was looking for one that I had that I cut out of the paper, but I couldn't find it.
Is he trying to stir?
This is a new amount.
What did you say? We only
It's
got
hard.
10,000
It's hard for
or
me.
2,000? Well, we can make sure of that. Okay, is there anything else that anybody's got? Okay. Appreciate you staying here. You were the first person in, and the last person out, I guess.
That's life, they call that inventory.
Yeah, life of. All right, if not, we're adjourned.
Add this to my stack. You know what I mean? Do y'all- I have just like stacks of paper.
I understand.
Well,
I don't know if we have.
We do get it, sure.
We,
I don't know where.
I don't think you're really
I went from
gonna-
this is over to the sky. Because I was looking at one, he was not aware that that was.